have to go home tomorrow and look my 8-year-old daughter in her eyes 1 week before she turns 9 and tell her that 3 more kids were shot and killed in their classroom. But Mama can't get half of her colleagues in the Congress to care enough to do anything about it. How can anyone in this chamber be okay with telling their kids or their grandkids that? How can you see the kids who are taking pictures right outside on the Capitol steps and do nothing to prevent their school from being next? How can we call ourselves the greatest country in the world when its elected leaders sit on their hands while children are murdered, hiding beneath their desks? We can't. And to those of you deflecting or giving up, you should be ashamed.
Hey people, how y'all doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I want to talk about the Nashville school shooting that went down sometime this week, where some kids were killed. 3 kids were killed, if I'm not mistaken. 6 people were killed, 3 adults, 3 kids were killed. This has struck a conversation. Before I go on with this video, I just want to say my heart, my prayers goes out to the family directly affected by this, and my heart, like, I can't even imagine what they are going through, and it's just crazy. Like, I don't want to even believe that the thought of children going to school is a scary thing at this time. I just got a lot of TikTokers and Americans, both the conserved and the, what do you call them, the conservatives and the others talking online, and I feel like this conversation of gun law regulation and all that really needs to be had, because the way they have access to guns in the US, like, it's my brain is not able to wrap around it yet. Anyway guys, we're going to hear Americans respond to this shooting, this Nashville shooting. Let's hear what they have to say and then we'll come back and talk.
Tell me what you're feeling right now. First, shocked.
Honestly, I felt numb.
Just happy to be reunited with them.
Enraged.
Instant kind of fear because my kid was also in school at that same moment.
I was terrified. I wanted to jump up and just go get my kids from school.
And then it just turned to just sadness.
And so sad for the families that were affected.
And how do you explain this to your child?
We've just been talking about how there was a bad guy.
We told him that somebody with a gun went into a school and shot some people.
She asked me, are they okay? I told her I'd have to explain to her more when she gets older.
My son asked me if all the teachers were sad today, and I said, yes, they were sad because they were scared for the kids, but everybody did their job, including all the police officers.
We just went through drills with her saying that when something happens, if your teacher says it's an emergency or it's danger, to hide, be very still, make sure you're listening, be very quiet.
I want to be able to tell her that she is safe at school and know that and not just wonder.
I mean, you never know. It could be a matter of life or death.
Just not a conversation that any of us were expecting to have at this point.
I mean, I don't know, how do you talk to your 3-year-old about why they were in lockdown today?
We need to talk about protecting our children the same way we protect our president, we protect our celebrities, we protect this building.
My time.
Okay, I'll yield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, there are 6 people that are dead in that school, including 3 children, because you guys got rid of the assault weapons ban. Because you guys made it easy for people who don't deserve to have weapons, who are mentally incapable of having weapons of war, being able to buy those weapons and go into schools. I voted for SROs in my schools in Florida after Parkland. We have SROs on every school. Did the good guys with the guns stop 6 people from getting murdered? No. But you know what? AR-15s, you know, seen what those bullets do to children? You know why you don't hunt with an AR-15 with a deer? Because there's nothing left. And there's nothing left of these kids when people go into school and murder them while they're trying to read. You guys are worried about banning books. Dead kids can't read.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. I'm pretty sure this was an unsecured weapon that this teenager got a hold of. We can't even pass gun safety, like safe storage laws in this country to protect kids from getting a hold of weapons that they
In 1993, my only brother was killed on his high school campus because somebody brought a gun to school. It's 2023. And there's babies who will never make it home to see their parents. And those parents will forever be in a space and a place where they are like, what was the last thing I said? What was the last lunch I made? What was their last thought, experience? Did they call out for me? And we are in a space and a place in this country where we are worried about what happens at a drag show brunch. What not to teach in critical race theory. These are the wrong things. It's the wrong thing, and it is indeed the wrong time. We are losing our way. Some groups, some political groups are so focused on the wrong thing that our children are dying. And it ain't no coming back from that. It ain't no coming back from that. Not even a little bit. I am so sorry. And my prayers go out to those families, because it's a pain that I don't wish on nobody. School is the one place where children should be safe. Now, they'll be safe getting on the airplane, but school, that's another thing. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Yet another mass shooting, this time at a Nashville school, taking the lives of 3 students and 3 teachers. And, what is there even to say at this point? Like, since Sandy Hook, over a decade ago, Republicans in this country decided that dead kids were a price that they were willing to pay for unfettered access to weapons of war in this country. And so we have these shootings, and then we beg and we plead and we cry for someone to do something, and then Republicans issue all of their excuses, like how it's not the guns, it's godlessness, it's unsecured schools, it's video games, it's mental health issues, it's the absence of the nuclear family, too many doors. And so we just carry on pretending that it is not the one thing that we all obviously know it is, the guns. It is the guns. We don't have a monopoly on mental health issues in the United States. We don't have a monopoly on video games or godlessness or non-nuclear families or doors, but we do have a monopoly on guns. We've got the most guns in the world. Almost half the guns on the planet right here for just 5% of the world's population. We've got more guns than people. It is the guns. And every time a Republican pretends that it is not the only thing that sets us apart from every other country on the planet, they are doing their part to protect the very thing that is responsible for all of this bloodshed. In fact, you know what Republicans did today, a day that kids were getting killed in Tennessee? On a day when a school was being shot up in Nashville, a bunch of Republicans decided to show up at an ATF inspection of a gun store.
And
we're here for the people to also basically hold the government accountable. And when the government has been weaponized and people feel like their gun rights are threatened, or gun dealers feel like their businesses are threatened, that's where we step in and make sure that the government is not out of control. And a lot of gun owners and a lot of people feel that way, unfortunately, about your
but that's not the way.
ATF.
Right. So we just said when we wanted to.
So yeah, on a day where 3 children were killed in a school shooting in Tennessee, Republicans literally rushed to the defense of a gun store in Georgia. If that metaphor was any more obvious, it would be beating you over the head. And let's be clear about what Republicans in Tennessee, who have full control of that state, have spent their time and power doing. Tennessee just became the first state in the entire country to ban drag shows under the pretense of keeping kids safe. Drag shows. Because that's what's putting kids' lives at risk, a drag show. Taxpayers employed all of those legislators in that state to pass bills that do nothing but vilify some marginalized group, because the only way that Republicans can retain power is by trafficking in culture war bullshit. You want to know who's to blame? It is the people who have the power to do something and yet make the conscious decision not to. That's who's to blame. It's people like this guy, Representative Andy Ogles, the Republican who represents the district that this school is in. So if you're wondering why kids keep getting killed in this country, it's because that's the kind of person we entrust with the lives of those kids. People whose entire identity is predicated on their fealty to a firearm. So, I don't know, look, there is one way to change this. Vote them to refuse to act out of office. That's it. I mean, my God, guys, forget the politics. Forget your team. You've got people in office who side with kids, and you've got people in office who side with guns. That should be enough. And look, I know that politics is exhausting, and trust me, after a day like today, I am exhausted. But the response to this cannot be despair and apathy, because then nothing changes. Then we have more of these shootings, and it gets worse. It has to be that people see this, and that they decide that enough is enough, and that we can't keep electing people whose gut reaction to a shooting is to rush to the defense of the gun. So please don't disengage. Talk to your friends, your family, to young people, to coworkers, nieces, nephews, grandparents, and make sure they vote for someone who recognizes that the problem isn't doors, it's not video games, it is the guns. And by the way, I know that it is reductive for me to say, go vote. I know that hearing that sounds so lazy, so trite. But the honest truth is that until we vote these people out, we have a permanent roadblock to progress. These people are immovable. They cannot be shamed. They are owned by the gun lobby. Look at the party split in donations from gun rights groups. $4.6 million to Republicans, $15,000 to Democrats. The top 20 recipients of gun lobby money in the House are all Republicans. The top 20 recipients of gun lobby money in the Senate are all Republicans. These people are paid not to care, and we are never going to be able to pay them enough to change their minds. So the answer is not to continue voting for them and then just begging for them not to be who they are. It is to take their fucking jobs away. It's to replace them with someone who gives a shit. So I know that hearing me say that we have to vote sucks, but until we do, nothing will change. And this won't be the last shooting, just like it wasn't after Buffalo, after El Paso, after Dayton or Las Vegas or Orlando, Virginia Tech, Sutherland Springs, Sandy Hook, Parkland, San Bernardino, Fort Hood, Thousand Oaks, Pittsburgh, Santa Fe. But I do hope that it is the last straw for a lot of people. If not the people whose job it is to fix it, then at least the people who have the immense power to vote them out of office.
So as everyone has heard by now, there was a mass shooting at a Nashville Christian elementary school carried out by a psychotic, degenerate individual. Conversations are already swirling on social media regarding the identity of the shooter and the targeted victims and the social and political implications of the shooter's motives. But there seems to be some negligent and outright disgusting behavior on both sides of the conversation that I think is worth addressing. The shooter was a trans man by the name of Who TF Cares, and they tragically took the lives of 3 students and 3 faculty members. May their souls rest in peace. Body cam footage has been released of the incident, and if you have the heart for it, I suggest you watch this YouTube video to see a breakdown of the shooting and the sheer heart and bravery of the police officers involved. Within just 3 minutes of arriving on the scene, Officer Engelbert made the initial contact and put 4 rounds from his assault rifle into the suspect. Officer Collazo made final contact and discharged 5 rounds from his service pistol, neutralizing the suspect. If any positive is to come from this horrific incident, it is the tiny solace of knowing that we have some selfless and courageous guys on some of our police forces that will put their lives on the line in seconds to answer the call of duty. But what doesn't bring any solace to the situation and actually pours salt into the wounds is some of the claims coming from people on social media who would like to use this unfortunate circumstance as a tool for their political agenda. People like this guy and some other conservatives labeling the shooting an act of trans terrorism simply because of the identity of the shooter and some premature assumptions. And this is the epitome of hypocrisy, especially coming from the conservative side who rightfully condemned the left for playing identity politics whenever it's a cis white man as the perpetrator. Now, of course, there are rumors of a manifesto written by the shooter that may detail her motives, but until that's released, all the speculation is just that, speculation. One lunatic individual is responsible for the shooting that happened in Nashville, not the entire trans community. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's a little disingenuous to try and hold the whole group accountable through demonization. We also have some people on the left side of the aisle in outrage because some news outlets are misgendering the trans shooter who's a biological female but identifies with male pronouns. In addition to those ideologically possessed subhumans, we also have some of the more radical types attempting to justify the actions of the shooter. I won't even say much to address these unfathomably foolish and lost individuals because everyone with a rational mind can see the absurdity in this. I do, however, want to address the people who will use this incident to further condemn firearms and advocate for limiting the access American people have to them. To those that see this situation and say, this is a gun issue, you are looking at the problem too simplistically. Mass shootings only account for 0.1% of all firearm-related deaths here in the U.S. And there have been about 376 school shootings since the 1999 Columbine shooting. While we all wish these numbers were zero, I don't believe we can use them or this situation to justify unrelated gun restrictions or an all-out ban. I understand the desire for solutions after a tragedy like this, but if we truly want to protect the lives of our innocent kids in schools, we have to be very thorough and meticulous in uncovering the root of this problem. What I believe we have in the U.S. regarding school shootings is a lack of security problem and a mental health problem. If you look back to all the school shooters since Columbine, almost all of them, including the Nashville shooter, were found to be either deranged or suffering from some sort of mental issue. And this makes sense because only the most mentally insane among us could carry out such heinous acts. If this was truly just a gun issue, average people like you and me would be the perpetrators of these kind of crimes, but we're not. If we want to solve this problem, we have to address the mental health issue that exists in this country and the surrounding culture that enables it. I will admit, though, it also wouldn't hurt for federal and state governments to do their due diligence and make it virtually impossible for the mentally ill to obtain firearms. We also clearly have a problem of a lack of security on our school facilities, and the time to address this problem is long overdue. The Nashville shooter was actually deterred from attacking another school in the surrounding area because their security measures would be too difficult to bypass. And if you see the security footage of the elementary school that was attacked, all they did was shoot through the front doors and walk right in. Added security measures like reinforced doors, resource officers, and armed and capable teachers could and would have stopped the shooter dead in their tracks. Again, prayers to the families involved in this tragic incident, but the time for mature conversations and actionable solutions is now. And we can leave the ideological grandstanding and political propaganda at the door because we aren't saving any kids with that.
Currently, I am picking up my little sister from school. There was a situation at her school dealing with some type of threat. Not even gonna say why, because y'all already know. Not only that, in another city where I grew up in, was another school incident. My thing is, I swear, like, the people who control this country have no fucking common sense. I graduated high school 2 years ago. The first time I was in a school shooting drill was when I was in the 5th grade. And that was a very traumatizing experience for me. So for y'all to say that books are traumatizing and things like critical race theory are traumatizing, y'all are literally insane. Yeah, y'all had us watching people jump from 100-story buildings during 9/11 with no issue. Now, what I necessarily don't understand is the concept behind school shooting drills in the first place. Majority of school shooters literally attend the school. So if they're going over the school shooting drills, doesn't that mean the school shooter already knows the plans during the school shooting drill? And you're sitting here telling me on a Monday at 7 a.m. in the morning, a school shooter is going to be dumb enough to think nobody's in the school just because we turn the lights off and we hide under desks and keep quiet? Then y'all say the school is on lockdown, and y'all make it to where the students can't even get picked up by their parents if something was to happen. So basically, you're holding kids hostage, which is putting them in an even worse situation because they can't get out of the situation. So you're giving them a higher probability of getting hurt because they're still in the building with the intruder. Now, I don't know how logically y'all think hiding under a desk is going to work or solve anything, but y'all need to go back in the rooms and discuss how to fix this again, because school shooting drills are not it. We should not have to settle for things like this. By us sitting here practicing school shooter drills, that's just like saying, hey, we know it's an issue, but we're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to figure out some solution for the meantime. At this point, it's getting to the point where I don't even want my siblings to even go to school. And it's kind of sad that y'all more worried about things like TikTok and the LGBTQ, but y'all not worried about these mass shootings and children getting killed and innocent people getting killed every single day in the hands of guns. And to even think that school shooting drills cannot traumatize children and it's actually helping them, y'all are insane. What is so comfortable about hiding in a place where you're supposed to be learning in the dark to where you have to be quiet, and then you can't call your parents, you can't text your parents, you can't leave the room, and then y'all other response to school shooters is to give teachers guns? That is not teachers' jobs. Teachers don't sign up to be bodyguards. Teachers don't sign up to be security. They teach, and that is what their job is supposed to be. Their job is not to protect other people's kids. They shouldn't even worry about having to protect kids or themselves. Y'all really need to get it together.
Go ahead and share your thought down in the comment section, because that's what we do here. We have conversations, so feel free to share your opinion, but please do it respectfully. Here is my thought on this, is that first off, I don't know why we're having this gun law conversation. Every single year like there's always a report of a school shooting, and now it's like this targeting little children. You guys know anything that has to do with children like just hits and triggers me, and I don't know why, but the fact that now is not being targeted towards children and sending your children to school is not a thing of fear. Like, for me, I don't even understand why even having access to gun is a thing. Like, they should take the guns off the streets. And then some people, so they need it to protect themselves. Some people, like, come on. Is it doing more harm than good in the society? Is it doing more harm than good? Because a lot of people will come with the argument, I'm going to defend myself, I'm going to this. These little kids can defend themselves, and sometimes some of them don't even know what to do when things like this happen, because these are kids. And then at a tender age like that, you start teaching your kids like safety measures. Like, my brain does not, like, Americans in the house, please make me understand this thing that is going on. Why do you guys really need guns? Like, it still does not make sense to me. Why do you guys really need guns? Like, why? I don't understand. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this down in the comment section. Love to know your thought, because that's what we do here. We have conversation. Go ahead and share your thought down in the comment section. I send my heart, my prayers to the family affected in this Nashville school shooting. My prayers goes out to each and every one of them. So go ahead and like this, because this helps YouTube to push out the content, because we really need to have this conversation, and maybe over time after having this conversation something will be done about this, so that this senseless killings stop. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.